I know that a lot of people get so upset about moving Sedan to second. I don't know what's happened over the past couple of years, and it's been a very good propaganda agent that has been out there with the fans of pushing defense and this defensive minded baseball, which I agree with. Not that I'm against it, but the fact that we go all in on defense and neglect the other stats, like defense is be all end all. I don't know what the hell happened to baseball or where people are, but it's just not true. I mean, we won a World Series, multiple World Series with Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz played first base a little bit too, and Manny played left field. It's just defense is not the end all be all. You need a guy that can poke, that can rake. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, who have the best record in baseball. Teoscar Hernandez is not an outstanding outfielder, right? They
Definitely
don't
not.
have this tremendous defensive run saving team. It's overblown and overvalued.
60-40, a Red Sox podcast. Big John and Sean, hot takes, special guest. This is 60-40. Hey.
After one long week, finally, we have come back to the studio. We are the most electrifying podcast in Red Sox Nation. I am your co-host, Big John. Alongside of me is Sean Figgins Jones, and together we are 64 Deep, a Red Sox podcast. Sean, that's 2 series wins in a row. We're going to the World Series. Book it. Get ready. October. Print the playoff tickets now. We're back. The Red Sox are back, and the Yankees suck. That's
what one of the things I love about you is you know, there's no in between for
no.
you. The sky's
all in.
falling or the Red Sox are winning the World Series. It's
That's
one or
right.
the other every time.
It's fun that way. That's how we do it. So Saturday, the Red Sox earned a 7-1 win over the Cardinals behind Ranger Suárez. It's first quality start of the season. Willson Contreras continues to heat up. I got a graphic for that one too. It's nice he's back home in his old stomping grounds. Hey, Ryan Bayo doubles up with, I guess he doesn't double up, but he goes ahead and has a great game in his own right. Finally, like Suárez, goes 6 2/3 innings, gives up 2 runs, got the ground ball working. Contreras goes 4 for 5, hits a home run in spite of Nesson unable to get their shit together and being able to watch. I'm watching it and I'm like, what am I watching? And I'm like, oh, that's a home run that I completely missed as I'm watching it live.
Yeah.
Right? The whole game was like that. Then at one point, I think 7th or 8th inning,
They switched to the Cardinals
they did, but they
broadcast.
still screwed up. Even when they did that, they screwed up. And there was at one point where it just died out on me. Then there was no audio. They finally brought it back. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that Nesson is having this hard of a time broadcasting games. But with the season being the way it is so early in the season, I'm not surprised. Sean, your early take on the game yesterday and today. You happy?
Yeah, of course. You love to see the bats waking up a little bit. I'm not going to, totally 180 from the last pod and be like, whoa, things are great now. Obviously, 7 runs, 9 runs. That's exactly what we want to see. But I'll also say that, the Cardinals are not a very good pitching staff. And, Friday was pretty pathetic. And 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals is kind of like the bare minimum of what we would expect or hope for. If they had lost these 3 games, it probably would not have been a very positive podcast for us today, even though they would have been around 500 over the last 6 games or so. But, baby steps. It's a step in the right direction. They at least showed that they are capable of putting up, 7, 8, 9 runs in a game. Because I think for a while we were one of only like 3 teams or something that had scored 7+ runs at any point. And it wasn't even just that. It also felt like we hadn't had just a comfortable win. All our wins were like 4-3, or I think the one we scored 6, they scored 5, or, it was a lot of close wins and a lot of low scoring wins. So it's kind of nice to have a game where they just went out and the starting pitching did their thing, the bullpen did their thing, and the offense did their thing.
Yeah, you're right, Sean. This is yesterday was the first time they hit 7 runs. They eclipsed that mark today and hit 9 runs. Yeah, we've said it, the offense has been absolutely anemic so far. So it's good to see them actually win. Look, you might knock the Cardinals for being the Cardinals, and they're not a very good pitching staff. And coming off of Friday, which I'm not sure, that might be the lowest point of the season when Roman Anthony's not playing, but Roman Anthony hasn't played well anyways. And Caleb Durbin's batting second, and now it's been 3 days in a row where Durbin's batting second. And we lost to Dustin May, who, just punched me in the gut and kicked me the balls and
salt in
and
the
then pulled
wound.
my hair.
To lose To lose to Walker Buehler and Dustin May in the same week is pretty tough.
I mean, I'd be okay with it if we hit him. We couldn't even hit him. Everyone hit Dustin May. He had a 14.34 ERA coming into that game. He was atrocious regardless. This is the guy that we gave up last year for a 5-point-something ERA. He is awful, and we couldn't hit him. Same with Buehler. They're both terrible. So we had to win this series, or you want to talk about skies falling. I'd be all about skies falling today. So you beat the team you're supposed to beat, and they did it today. And now we move on to Minnesota. And let me tell you why I'm so positive behind it is because when Suárez pitches the games that he pitched and Bayo pitched a good game today, and now you have Crochet coming up next, and you have Sonny Gray coming after that, who's also pitched very well, and Connolly early, and then rinse and repeat, and Suárez comes back again, and then you have Bayo come back again. This is what I'm looking at right now, where this is the first Red Sox rotation where I actually feel good today on April 12th for the first time this year, where you look at it, at least over the last 2 games, and you know what you have upcoming, and you're saying, this is the Red Sox rotation I was excited about. This is the Red Sox rotation. Doesn't matter who we're playing. We have a shot to win every game. It didn't feel like that for a while.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I talked last pod about how I was a little concerned about Ranger Suárez, to say the least. But no, he looked great yesterday. It was vintage Ranger Suárez. And then, you do start to look at those ERAs in the rotation, and they're actually pretty decent for the most part. Crochet's been arguably a little worse than we would hope with a 3.12, but Sonny Gray's quietly got a 2.76. Connolly early has struggled going deep into games, but a 2.63, he's been, very effective in terms of just run prevention in general, despite the fact that he's kind of had some busy innings and still has not given up a home run in his entire career, which is, a feat in itself.
Impressive.
I'm sure that's gonna change at some point. But to your point, and I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's like you look at this stat and they're 6-0 when their starters pitch at least 6 innings, and they're 0-9 when they don't. So, of course, that's always going to be correlated. But when they've gotten a quality, quote unquote, quality start out of their starter, they've won every single game. And when the guys can't go deep into the games and we're forced to rely on some of the middle relievers, which you and I talked about, that we really like the back end of the Red Sox bullpen, but the middle is where, we were a little unsure with some unproven names there. And that's kind of come to fruition a little bit. But then, it just puts pressure on the lineup. And we're not the kind of team that's going to thrive with pressure on the lineup.
To your point, we're undefeated with the pitchers go 6+ innings, make a quality start. I started thinking about that today, put together show notes. Bayo started to struggle a little bit in the 6th inning, and he ends up getting out of it, and they eventually pull him in the 7th inning. And once he got through the 6th inning, even though he struggled a little bit, I'm like, that's it. We won the game. Stat goes on. We're good for now. So that was my thought process as well. All right, Sean, let's get into this week that was, and today that is, but let's do what we do every show and drink some beers.
Drinking beers, we drink some beers. Big John and Sean. We're drinking beers, we drink some beers.
Sean, I get to rep the Frost Buddy Red Sox today because we won.
They earned it, yeah.
They earned it. No more Yukon Huskies, Frost Buddies. Same beer as I had last week, that back east, that IPA that I really like, the New England IPA. Thank you for teaching me about that, because I could look at it now. It's that translucent clear beer, and now thanks to you, Sean, I can identify my IPAs, whether they're West Coast or New England. So I appreciate that.
Nice. Yeah, of course.
What do you got?
I also have a repeat other half.
I don't remember you drinking that in there. How long ago?
Yeah, I won, not last episode, but I think it was 1 or 2 ago. But yeah, no, this is in Brooklyn is where it's brewed. They distribute down here occasionally. They're very expensive. It's like $24 for a 4-pack, which is pretty absurd, but they're very good. The floor on their beers is tremendously high. I have yet to really have like a bad IPA from there. Most of them are New England style as well. This one's double dry hopped. And funny enough, I'm actually going to New York next weekend and plan on stopping by at Other Half, the brewery itself. So
where is that? Brooklyn? Where did you say it was?
It's Brooklyn. It's in Williamsburg. It's like right by the Brooklyn Bridge. So right on the water. Very nice location. So would recommend it if you're ever near there.
I used to work in the city in downtown, Midtown, and Brooklyn to me, I always would, when my coworkers wanted to go somewhere after work, I'd always decline if they want to go to Brooklyn. I'm like, Brooklyn's just too far away. It might all be part of New York City, but it's like another country to me. It's like going to Canada. That's how far away Brooklyn is. So that's why I never get out there. I go as far as Midtown, by the Bronx, but outside of like
Yeah.
Queens and Brooklyn, I'm not making it over there. Traffic's too bad.
Very fair. I've got a lot of friends up there, and as we've gotten towards our 30s, there's been a small migration where everybody was living in Midtown out of college, and then everyone sort of trickled over to Brooklyn and a little bit more of the quieter parts of New York. So honestly, last couple times I've gone there, I've spent majority of my time in Brooklyn just because that's where most of the people I'm going to see are. But that's okay. It's still a lot busier and more going on than where I am here in general, but not so hectic like Manhattan could be. So it's nice.
Perfect. All right, Sean, the week that was, the day that was today, let's dive right into it. Caleb Durbin, early season struggles. I've been ripping him on social media to the point that I almost feel bad about it. I have nothing more to say. The cathartic experience that I've had of ripping him last week, this week. I mean, we'll get into how terrible it is, and I just don't understand what Core is doing. But we'll put that on the back burner, and we'll talk about it too. We'll talk about Kristian Campbell today and Nick Sogard. I want to talk about them in the minors because they're starting to heat up, and it's going to be interesting to see what the Red Sox do with both of them. But let's start with Willson Contreras. Right. So after he's looking like the player the Red Sox paid for, we both talked about in the offseason. I was a little nervous about signing him because of his age and historically catchers. I know he's played first base recently, but he's been a long-term catcher. Those knees go and they decline precipitously. He hasn't. Last year, you could see he still had one of the best batting swings in base for his career, or at least it has. What's what I'm looking for? He's maintained his ability, swing velocity. That hasn't dipped at all. And so far, we're seeing right now him turn the corner. His baseball savant has him as a 402 weighted on base average, 90.3 mile per hour average exit velocity, which is very good. He's hard hit at 35.7%, also very good, and barreling at over 10%. We watched him hit a 2-run double Saturday to put the Red Sox ahead versus the Cardinals, and today with a first inning 2-run home run. What are your thoughts on Willson Contreras? I'm loving those Bowser shirts that the team's wearing too. So it's very much him, right? That personality, the look and feel of Willson Contreras, and that bat's real. And he's playing a really good defensive first base. I don't think you can ask for much more of Contreras right now.
Yeah. To your point, he's been heating up, and I think that it's no coincidence that the team the bats have started to come alive a little bit in the runs department, and it's been highly correlated with him. And, him, because he got off to a very slow start. I mean, we talked the first episode. I mean, I think he was batting sub 200 or something to start. Tiny sample size, obviously. But, he's been just an absolute middle of the order dasher over the last, week or so. And it is kind of funny to look back at, you look at Pete Alonso's stats, and he's like below 200, one homer so far. So still would rather have had him. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions this early, but Contreras has been awesome. You mentioned the Baseball Savant page. There's a lot of red on there.
Give it to me, Sean. What do you got? What's standing out to you?
The bat speed is 93rd percentile, which that is typically one of the things that we see decline with age.
The first. Yep.
Yeah, one of the very first sort of indicators. So to see him that high, I don't know what for his career it is, but I can't imagine it's much better.
He's always been one of the top of baseball in terms of that stat, which is something I always liked. Like when we were debating bringing him in that age, I said, well, at least he's still one of the best at that. As long as that's there, I'm happy with it. So it's great to see that number is still there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you talked about the barrel percentage, exit velocity, 86th percentile, 83rd percentile. And also one thing that I think should not be undervalued for this team specifically is that he's 91st percentile in terms of walk rate, which we don't have a lot of guys that walk. And, just getting on base in any way you can, that's something that this team kind of struggles with. And we talked about last time we talked, both Story and Rafaela still had not had a walk. I actually don't, correct me if I'm wrong, has Story gotten his first walk yet? I don't think so.
He didn't today. He hit the hell out of the ball today. I think he had, what do you go, 4 for 5?
He did.
Yeah, so he didn't. And I don't think he did yesterday either. And Story is striking out it's going to be a little bit lower.
He does have one walk.
Okay.
He has one walk now. One walk to 21 Ks.
And striking out at almost 30% of his at-bats.
I know.
Story
and Rafaela has 2 now. Yeah, but still, Contreras has 11 walks, which is first on the team by a pretty healthy margin. Yoshida's second, actually, which, considering how few at-bats he has, his walk rate is ridiculous so far. But no, Contreras has been great, and he's gotten big hits, and when he's had these big hits, it's correlated with the team performing offensively and winning games. And that's all we can really ask for. You were super high on him in terms of thinking he could even have a career career year in terms of just the power department. I had him right around his career average, but
What'd you have, Matt, Sean? 25? What'd you have? 20?
I didn't pick a number, but I had like 20 to 24 basically, which I still think it'll
28.
probably be.
Right,
yeah,
I
I think
28.
20. I think you had 27, 28, something like that. But we'll see. I still think he's probably going to settle in close to the 23 to 25 numbers. So probably pretty close to the line that we discussed. But yeah, I mean, I said this preseason too. I wasn't going to completely say it was impossible for him to get close to 30. You know what I mean? I just like wanted to see how the bat translated a little bit, which ironically enough, the bat was at its best in St. Louis of all places.
Right.
Rather than at Fenway, which is what we were projecting him to have a bump up there. But no, he's been great. The only knock so far is that his, swing and miss rate has been pretty high as well. But, he fits right in on the team there.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching him play. It was a hustle play today down the line. It was a bouncer to the third baseman. I think it was Fermin, and he ended up beating it out. It was a bad throw, but he hustled the whole way down the line. The attitude, the personality he brings to this team. We talked about it when they acquired him, how fiery he is. I love everything there is to be about Contreras, and it seems like the team does too with those shirts, those Bowser shirts on there, and. He and Durbin lead the league in getting hit by pitches. Durbin gets hit again. I thought it was just bad luck. I don't understand how these guys get hit so much. It's not like they're crowding the plate. And Contreras has gotten hit, it feels like, every game. St. Louis hit him. Leahy hit him, I believe it was. He's already counted how many times Milwaukee's hit him. And that bad blood still been there too. Durbin gets hit today as well. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like. Why these guys keep getting hit. But Contreras gets hit. And no wonder he hasn't been able to play a full season. He's constantly getting plunked. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, we'll take it. As long as he's not getting hurt, I'll take the base, obviously. It is funny though. I mean, the Milwaukee situation is pretty bizarre, especially like the awkwardness of his brother being the catcher too, where it's like I don't think it was intentional. He obviously took it
was a breaking
pretty
ball,
personally. Yeah, he took it pretty personally, obviously, basically threatened, where I was like, if they hit him again, he's probably going to charge him out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not like he's crowding the plate in his stance or anything like that, but I don't know. I feel like some guys it just for one reason or another, it just happens where they get hit more. I mean, you
got a face that's so punchable. I guess he's got a face that's just you want to hit him with a baseball. I don't know what it is, but it's bizarre. Him and I get Durbin. Durbin definitely has that weird face where I don't blame them for trying to hit him with a baseball. But yeah, it's really bizarre that those two guys are getting plunked as often as they're getting plunked because there's nothing. They're not leaning out over the plate like Bonds. They're not doing anything that says they should get hit any more or any less than any other baseball player, but here they are getting plunked. But again,
no Carlos Quentin type stance where basically over the plate.
That's right. Yeah, none of that. Again, look, and defensively, he had a fine pick with Mayer. I think Mayer would turn the double play today was not smooth as great as Mayer has played at playing second base. He's just been everything you've asked for of a player. I wish it's just too bad we couldn't get him younger, which is so interesting because when Contreras came to St. Louis. His rookie year, I remember his rookie year because I have a good friend of mine who's a Cardinals fan, and I was tracking a lot of the Cardinals players, not his rookie year, but his first year in St. Louis, and he was not a very good defensive catcher, and there was a panic by the St. Louis fans in front office about we spent all this money on this catcher who can't catch. What are we going to do? And they moved him to first base, and the rest is history, and that's baseball, Susan, and here we are.
Yep.
So...
yeah, I mean, he's been great on defense as well. Like you mentioned, he's 93rd percentile in terms of outs above average so far, which, again, all we could ask for. We've had some iffy infield defense over the past few years, so it's nice to have a steady force, especially at first base, who's, involved in most plays that are hit in the infield. But, I mean, it's obviously still early, but hitting above 300, he hasn't quite caught Abreu in terms of OPS, but he's sneaking up on him. He's above 950 so far. So do I think that's going to hold? Probably not. But, it's at least nice to know that he still has some juice left in the tank. And I think seeing that early was important for fans and the team. Because if he got off to a really bad start, it could have, turned pretty dark to be like, man, we waited a year too late to get a guy like this. And I mean, you talked about falling off the cliff, and we couldn't totally rule it out. So especially with things like the bat speed, like we discussed, like if he can maintain, I mean, I don't expect him to be 93rd percentile, but if he's even, in the 75 percentile, then that is going to be awesome. And I think he's going to have a really solid year.
That's all I need to see was the bat speed. If we saw this coming this year, the bat speed had dipped, then I'd be really concerned. It hasn't. We're good. I think we're all locked and loaded for Abreu is now 0 for 11. This is what Abreu does. His last 11 bats. Abreu is very, 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 very streaky. Ooh, it's perfect time that Contreras is coming hot now because Abreu was struggling to be able to. But they're making good at bats. Abreu is having good at bats even though he's 0 for 11. And the next guy we'll go into Durbin quickly. I mean, we'll talk about him a little bit. Here, as much as I've ripped Durbin so far, his last at bat was the best at bat I've seen him have all year. Ball on the outside of the plate.
But
Ball on the outside of the plate, and which he's been consistently rolling over on and pulling it down, either striking out or pulling it down the third base line on a bouncer or the second base. But he actually stung it to right field. It was the first time I saw Durbin do that. However, with that being said, what's his bat? He came in being 114. What did he finish today at? Was he 110, 108?
Batting average. Boo. Let me find him. 106.
106.
He 19%, is 5 for 47 on the year.
19% K rate, so not too bad. But an 84.8 mile per hour average exit velocity, which isn't very good, 29.6% hard rate, 0 barrels. So he might have, that last one might have been counted as a barrel, but that's how atrocious Durbin has been. And there's a lot of people out there, I see him on Twitter, that are saying, let's wait for Durbin to come around, stop knocking him, which I'm knocking him. This is absolutely atrocious. When,
I think it's fair to knock him.
When I'm a Nick Sogard guy and Sogard's hitting that cover off the ball, I'd rather have Sogard up here right now. But the fact that he's batting second, Sean, I don't understand. Explain to me why he's batting second. Just try.
I think the only explanation is that they don't want to do 3 straight lefties, and they have Roman leading off Duran third, so they want a righty in that spot. And the only other option was basically Trevor Story, who played his way out of that spot, which we both didn't want him batting there either. I don't feel great about putting a guy like Rafael out there, and then what does that leave? Or like the catcher position. So I think it's really like a blind. We're going to put a right-handed bat there just to break the side of the plate up a little bit for the lineup, which I don't know. We've talked about this. I feel like that stuff's a little overblown unless you've got guys who really particularly struggle against lefties with a bunch of lefties up there. But I'm like, Yoshida can hit lefties fine. Like, put him second or something like that. We've got guys like Willier has played well enough where I'm starting to trust him in those situations too. Like, move him up to second. I'd rather have him there. I know then you got 3 straight lefties, but Roman's another guy that isn't like a super one side of the plate leaning in general anyways. I don't know. I mean, it's a shame because I know before the season there was a lot of talk of like Durbin's going to be the grit and grind guy. Sox fans are going to fall in love with him, but I feel like he's being shoved down our throat a little bit, and I think fans are really starting to turn on him already. Because you look at this tiny dude, and we have visions of like a Pedroia or something like that, and it's like you don't want to knock the guy for being so small when he plays small. He's got 0 power. His bat speed's been awful. He's 5th percentile. You've mentioned 0 barrel rate, like 7th percentile exit velocity, 7th percentile hard hit rate. Like, he can't hit the ball hard, and he doesn't hit it deep, and he's had a lot of bad, weak contact. And it's like, you can survive as a guy who does that, especially for a guy of his size, if you're going to get a lot of like poke a single to right field and like, get a lot of these cheap singles. Like Yoshida does exactly that all the time. Like those little easy blooper things, but he's not doing any of that either. And if you're going to be unable to get hits like that, then you do need to have some upside, and he hasn't had the upside or the floor so far. So it's been pretty ugly. And I do not think he should bat second.
No. And I agree with you that I want Yoshida there. The whole left, and I get to your point. They don't want the 3 lefties in a row, but then again, figure it out and put back Contreras third, because Duran, even though Duran's had 2 good games in a row, again, the strikeout's still an issue, and you're seeing the top of the lineup. I mean, I guess the reason behind Core's mentality of why he's batting Durbin second is the 19% strikeout rate, which would be one of the best on the team. But again, that's forest through the trees thinking. It's dumb. If you're not productive at all, there's no, just because of 19%. I mean, there have been about 3 opportunities where he's come up with the bases loaded, and 3. And we only one time he got a hit. Thank God he got that one hit that he got. Yoshida's up there, and I'm going to be a lot more. Yoshida's played very well. I'm actually more upset about the comments that that Cora made about Friday. Like, I want Yoshida to get more playing time. I think he's the guy that needs to get more playing time on this team because he's what this team needs right now, which is a guy that's
Yeah.
not chasing the ball and putting the bat in the ball with that because Roman Anthony's struggling. Right, they're all struggling. I mean, today was a good game. Yesterday was a good game, good breakout game. But there's still guys that have not consistently been able to come up and show out. Durant had a great hit today. Right, it broke the game wide open. We needed that. He barreled the ball up, went the opposite way with the ball, and it was a double. That was a bases clearing double. I got no faith in Durbin. Like you said, it's all blue. Everything's blue on the baseball.
It's really
page.
blue. It's dark blue.
Yeah, he's not doing anything well. Nothing well. He shouldn't be batting the top of the lineup. And the people out there loving that love Durbin, right? Trying to the Durbin shills for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I guess they just love their team so much that they won't be negative about them. And they point to his defensive runs saved. Great. I'm not arguing that at all. I'm arguing the man should be batting second overall. And if he's that bad of a bat, I still don't think he should be in. Here's the counter argument to it. I can't believe I'm saying this. IKF is better. Legitimately, which I can't believe I'm saying that. IKF is better all-around player. IKF is a former Gold Glove winner. He's got the same glove that Durbin has, and I can make the argument of how bad Durbin has been that IKF is a better bat than Durbin. I'm telling you, Sean, we both ripped IKF to start the season. If I told you had an opportunity to bat IKF second or Durbin, you're picking IKF. True?
I don't know. He's 1 for 11 on the year also, so it's not like he's had much to
Durbin?
write home
5 for 40?
Durbin's average is actually higher than IKF's right now, so I'll say.
What's the Baseball Savant page say on 10 at bats for for IKF? I'm curious who has a better blue profile, whether it's IKF or Durbin. But again,
it's hard to tell. They don't have he doesn't have enough plate appearances to do like the numbers, but they're really low also. Like they from eyeballing it, they are all like sub 10th percentile, like basically everything. So it's about the same.
I collect baseball cards. One of the guys that I personally collect, and to guys hard last year, it's just, I love him. I really do love him a lot. And I'm so happy to watch him. After a hot start this year, he's on my fantasy baseball team. I own a bunch of different cards about him. I talk about him a lot. Is Chandler Simpson. And Chandler Simpson, again, wreaks absolute havoc against the Yankees in all 3 of the games. He's batting over 400, tied for the league in stolen bases, plays a phenomenal defense. That's the type of guy the Red Sox need. That's the archetype that I wish Caleb Durbin was. I think a lot of us wish Caleb Durbin was Chandler Simpson. Chandler Simpson's like Kenny Lofton 2.0 for you old heads out there, right? We want Durbin to be like that. Doesn't have to have the power because Simpson's going to have 1 or 2 home runs. Fine with all that. But absolutely mucks up the bases, wreaks havoc on it, has a high batting average, plays a great defense. If you had a Chandler Simpson batting leadoff on this team, this whole roster completely changes the way it looks and feels, and you have a much better team.
Yeah, reminiscent of Juan Pierre. Guy was at
the Frenchman
310 with one homer or something like that. No,
he won a World Series.
He did. Simpson is a very unique player, and there's not a lot of guys like him in the league right now where people are just comfortable putting a guy that has going to hit less than 5 home runs basically every season. But, if he's going to bat over 300 and steal as many bases as he does, then he can survive. But it is a fine line. The second that falls down to like a 290 or 280, and then it's suddenly like a very unuseful player, which we've seen the value of guys like Luis Suárez also tank a bit, but he's not the base stealer or defender that, Chandler is. So that's also part of it. But no, to your point, Durbin, he just it's been tough. It's been really, really tough. And I'll ask you, like, if we want to get Yoshida into the lineup more and, move Durbin to more of a shared utility role, would you be comfortable with Cedon being the full-time second baseman and moving Meyer to third?
100%. I'd be really okay with it. I know that a lot of people get so upset about moving Cedon to second. I don't know what's happened over the past couple of years, and it's been a very good propaganda agent that has been out there with the fans of pushing defense and this defensive-minded baseball, which I agree with. Not that I'm against it, but the fact that we go all in on defense and neglect the other stats, like defense is be-all, end-all. I don't know what the hell happened to baseball or where people are, but it's just not true. We won a World Series, multiple World Series with Manny Ramirez and David Ortiz played first base a little bit too, and Manny played left field. It's just defense is not the end all be all. You need a guy that can poke, that can rake. I mean, you look at the Dodgers, who have the best record in baseball. Teoscar Hernandez is not an outstanding outfielder, right? They
Definitely
don't
not.
have this tremendous defensive run saving team. It's overblown, overvalued. So yes, is Cedana a great center fielder? 100%. But are we going to limit the team's productivity by and I saw Ken Rosenthal also make the comment as well that the Red Sox inability to figure out their logjam in outfield is coming back to bite them right now. So
Yeah.
it's for what's best for the team. Move Cedana to second, get Yoshida in the lineup. I mean, I'll shut up and let you speak for a little bit, but you know I'm a big Yoshida guy.
Yeah.
He's been a steady professional presence. His numbers may not jump off the page, but he's getting on base at an elite clip, and he might be the team's best option at the top of his lineup. Really quickly, 95.2 mile per hour average exit velocity, 66.7% hard hit percentage, drawing walks at an elite rate. He's 8 walks and limited at bats, and the team needs that right now. And to your point, Sean, you made it earlier. I don't give a fuck that it's 3 lefties in a row.
I don't either. If it's guys that aren't, I mean, look, do I want like last year, Willier, Duran, and then Meyer back to back to back? Probably not, because those guys are proven to like struggle more against lefties. But to your point, like Roman is not his numbers don't drop off against lefties, and Yoshida's numbers don't drop off against lefties. So I don't really care. You know, I also have never really understood the concept of like, nobody cares if you've got a bunch of righties back to back, but you do if it's a bunch of lefties. I don't really understand why that's sort of become a thing. Like, have you ever heard someone say like, oh, we can't have 2 righties in a row? Like, is that truly just like, there's less left-handed people, and so left-handed batters have less experience hitting left-handed pitchers? Is that all
Well,
it
it's
is?
harder. Like, it's just harder to hit lefty than it is to hit righty because of the arm slot and the arm angle. It's more of a sweep thing.
But is that? I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm like, that just doesn't make sense to me, because I'm like, it's not like lefties. I mean, isn't it essentially just a mirror image of a righty throwing? I mean,
well, I mean, look, I haven't done the
yeah, these are more existential questions, but I'm more just like, it is kind of weird to me that it's always
a righty more comes over the top. Just if you look at how most righties throw, and maybe they're starting to throw more 3/4, they're going out there. Lefty comes out more 3/4, and just the way but again, to your point, I don't know. I don't know why.
My theory is that there's just less left-handed people. So when you're coming up as a right-handed hitter, like through little league and high school, whatever, like you're just facing a bunch of righties because there's just more righties. So you just get more used to it. You're accustomed to it. So it doesn't bother you as much, versus when you're left-handed and then you haven't faced a ton of lefties, and then you get to the higher level and you're like, whoa, I've never seen a lefty throw like this before.
Next time you watch like where Crochet is on the mound, where he sets up, and where, let's say, I don't know, a righty like Gray sets up on the mound. See who they set up on the mound. Track their arm angle.
Sure.
I hear what you're saying.
I mean, I think, but every pitcher's got different release angle and form and stuff. So like, I don't know. It's hard to just pick 2 and pinpoint those, because to your point, I mean, I think Gray's got a more prototypical arm angle like the average person would throw, but there are some righties that have, you know, more 3/4 or whatever. So I don't know. I didn't mean to get us down a rabbit hole, but it's always something I thought of. But I agree with you. I would just move Cedana to second if Durbin's going to be this bad. I mean, Yoshida has a 500 on base percentage. He's reached base half of his at-bats. Like, for a team that's just been so, I was going to say anemic, but they've been better recently. But like, inconsistent is probably the better word to use right now. Offensively, it's like you said, the steady presence. Like, he's exactly that, and that's exactly what they need, especially at the top of the order. Like, I'd feel good about putting Yoshida at leadoff, and then have Roman bat second, and put Roman second, for example. Got more guys on base, and he's proven to be an on-base machine when he has played. And I don't know. I mean, we both agree. We both have been like a little higher on Yoshida historically. And there's something about the, like, when a guy comes up to bat in an important moment, like, throw the stats out, but like, what do you feel internally? Like, do you feel like they're going to get a hit, or do you not feel like they're going to get a hit? And when Yoshida comes up off, I do feel pretty comfortable and like good that he's going to make something happen. And when Durbin gets up there, I feel terrible. And when, you know, when Duran gets up there, I don't feel great either. There's a lot of guys where I'm like, I don't feel super confident when they get up to the plate. Rafael has another one where I'm like, he's probably going to strike out or do something, swing at a ball at his eye length or eye level or something like that. So I don't know. I think that if Durbin cannot turn it around quickly, then they should probably explore something like that. I know that people are going to complain about the defense and, how Rafaela should be in center field. But, he hasn't been spectacular in center so far this season anyway. And I would just rather have Yoshida in the lineup every day.
Career 14% K rate for Yoshida, among the lowest in the game. Great plate discipline, professional at-bats for him. I'm all, as you agreed, and you made a really good point, Sean. When Duran gets up there, and I'm rooting like hell for Duran. I know you are too, because you said you made the point in the offseason that you're expecting him to have a big year because he has to have a big year. Where else are we going to lean on? But when Duran gets up there in a big a bat, I expect him to strike out 90% of the times he does. When Durbin gets up in those big at bats, I'm like, just please don't hit into a double play.
I'm like, inning over. Just,
please
don't
don't hit
bother.
into a double play. That's all I'm asking for. So for a guy that's a 14% K rate, which is lower than Durbin's 19%, and what he can do, I agree. I think he should bat leadoff and take some of the pressure off of Roman Anthony, because Roman Anthony is going through early sophomore slump, and we talked about it at the beginning of the year. Our biggest fear, and this is my anger at Breslow right now, is that I was afraid we were going to put way too much pressure on Roman Anthony to be David Ortiz. And that's why I was happy he was in the WBC. I feel like maybe that would help him his confidence, but maybe I'm wrong on that one. The fact that he hasn't gone out, and there's a lot of expectations. You hear Red Sox Twitter, we've even kind of gone their way too, saying what could happen this year with Roman Anthony. A lot of people expected him to bat like 290 with 20-something home runs, and it's his first full year, and he's struggling right now. And he's got there's nowhere we can turn or move him down the lineup to protect him. He's got to sit up there and he's not swinging it. What I'm really frustrated, I think we're all frustrated about, trying to figure out, is he's just letting fastballs go middle and not swinging at them.
Yeah, we talked about it last time where I'm like, he's not swinging at strikes, and he's also chasing a lot more than he has in the past too. So it's like, it feels like a lot of it is sort of an approach thing, which to me says that, it does kind of feel like maybe he's feeling that pressure a little bit to be the guy and do too much. I don't know. I don't know if his approach is different because he's leading off or what's happening with him, but
he let off last year too. Remember, he let off last year.
Yeah, he moved around. He moved around a bit, but no, he did lead off for sure. But even like last year, especially, he got off to that really, really rough start. So again, we can't totally put too much stake into this, because what did he start, like 2 for 25 or something last year? Like, it was bad.
It was. But he was mating. But remember, like, his average exit velocity was like 100.
For sure.
He was hitting the shit out of the ball. This year,
yeah,
I think the epitome of was either last night or the night they lost to Leahy, the first night. There were 6 pitches where he struck out without swinging the bat. He struck out on 6 pitches, Sean. It was like 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, strikeout. The bat never left his shoulder for 6 straight pitches, and he struck out. And that's where I'm looking there saying, this guy needs help.
Yeah, no, it is weird. And also last year, I mean, we talked about just getting on base. Like, he's been a good walk guy throughout his career, but last year his on base percentage was nearly 400. So, I mean, whether he was getting hits or drawing walks or whatever, like, the guy was just consistently getting on base. It's below 300 this year. So it's been totally different, and it's a little unexplainable, but like, his walk rate is down, his chase rate is up by like a pretty wide margin on both of those. Like, it's just, I do think he's still going to have a good year, and I do think he's going to be a really, really good player for a long time. But I think, to your point, like, the roster construction did him no favors. He doesn't have protection in the lineup at all. I mean, we talk about Caleb Durbin batting after him. It's like, why would he get any good pitches to swing anyway when you've got Durbin on deck? But and I think he's just psyching himself out with the swing selection and stuff too. So I don't know. I expect him to turn it around, but to your point, like, they kind of are asking him to be like the guy, the middle of the bat or middle of the order bat that we've been wanting them to get, which I think we thought he was possible to be, but it's a lot to ask for a guy of his age, and it's not really fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sean, I'll let you go on this one. I'm going to say Ranger Suárez, 6 innings pitched, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 84 pitches, 55 of them for strikes. First quality start of the year. Take it over, Sean. Your thoughts on Ranger Suárez? Let you go wherever you want to go with it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it was encouraging. I was getting a bit worried with everything with him, but I do think that I don't think he was I never thought he was going to be as bad as he'd been the first couple starts. So it's good to see him kind of get back into his groove a little bit.
8.64 ERA coming into the Saturday.
Yes.
8 earned runs and 8.1 innings pitch.
Yeah.
Not even counting how bad he was in the World Baseball Classic on top of it. But go
for
ahead.
Sure. I'm not totally abandoning my take that I'm a little worried after one start, because, the body of work, he was bad in spring training. He was bad in the WBC. He was bad in his first 2 starts. Like, it's one start out of, I mean, I know the other games don't count the same amount, but like, he just hasn't pitched well. Like, he hasn't thrown the ball well it's really in this entire calendar year in any sort of capacity or appearance that he's had. So obviously, it's one start. You love to see the progress, but I don't know. I'm not going to jump to really any conclusions either direction based on one start. So I want to see him keep it up. I know the Cardinals also are not a very good lineup either. So
outside of Jordan Walker, holy Jesus.
he's been going crazy. He's available on my fantasy team. I went to go scoop him on waivers. So
he was a big time prospect too. It looked like a bust. Like I said, my friend that's a good big Cardinals fan. He's got loads of Jordan Walker baseball cards, rookie cards, like Bowman first and everything. And we keep joking about it. Looks like his kids are going to community college with that investment, but they might have a shot of going to a legit private school if Jordan Walker keeps up this pace. 7 home runs, leads all of baseball, and he's a massive man. And he was a top 5 prospect in all of baseball, and I forgot how long ago it was. I'm gonna check
3 or 4 years. I don't feel like going. Is this like his 4th season or something?
You might be right. It might be before 2020. I'm looking right now on my phone when Jordan Walker he's only 23 years old, though. That's how young he was when he was drafted. I'm trying to see.
Yeah, he came straight out of high school, I think. They said in the broadcast the other day he was going to go to Duke and then got drafted, and he was like, never mind. So
it was 2021 was his first year. So
he was pretty, if I recall, he was pretty good as a rookie and then has had some not so good years the past couple, but obviously seems like he's having a breakout year. But, I don't think he's going to hit at this pace, obviously, but he's been really, really good. But back to the original point, aside from him, this is not a very good lineup. And so I'm not going to put too much stake into it. I'd like to see Ranger do it against a really quality lineup because, that's what he's going to be accustomed to in the AL East. We know it's a bloodbath. So it's going to be some really good lineups he's going to face. And again, it is a step in the right direction. So I'm not going to take anything away from him, but I'm not going to overreact too positively because, the track record needs to grow because ultimately, I know he's still got a 5.02 ERA on the year through 3 starts, which is just not even close to good enough.
Yeah, but it's like I said, when if this happens and continues to happen, it's easy to see how the Red Sox can put together a winning streak. If Suárez pitches this way, Sonny Gray's been outstanding.
He's been awesome.
Quietly been outstanding. I couldn't even be happier with the way that Gray has pitched. So again, when you go into, like I said, Suárez, into Bayo, into Crochet, into Sonny Gray, and they pitch the way they pitched the past couple of games, this team has a shot as any other team to play very good baseball. You're just waiting for that hitting. Hopefully that hitting comes around. Again, can this team beat we're going to the World Series, Sean. Can this team beat the Dodgers? I'm still worried about the lineup tremendously.
I don't think
so. Pitching is going to give you a shot. The pitch is going to give you a shot if they can pitch like the way that they have. And I get it. They'll play the Twins, but Twins have played well so far, and they just blew up the Blue Jays today. Right? Was it Blue Jays?
Yeah.
9-1 or whatever it was. They absolutely just took them to the woodshed and beat them down. And Byron Buxton has not played well, so they've been doing all this without Buxton hitting. So they get to go face a very hot Twins team. And then we'll see where they go from there. And they have the Yankees coming up in 2 weeks. I would love to see, I don't know who's lined up for it, but I would love to see Suárez lined up against the Yankees and see how he does.
I think that the Twins series is very important, and I think they bare minimum need to win 2, but I almost think they need to sweep because, if they sweep, they'd be 9-9, but they have a really, really brutal stretch coming after that. After the Twins, they have Tigers, Yankees, Orioles, Blue Jays, Astros, Tigers, which is, that's basically the 4 of the 5 best teams in the AL, excluding maybe the Mariners. And then they have Rays, but then even after that, they've got Phillies and Braves and Royals who aren't too bad either. So it's the schedule has been actually kind of soft to start the season, if we're being totally honest. So they
extremely soft.
Yeah. So they need to take advantage of this Twin series. Like if they lose 2 out of 3, it's going to be a really tough, and I'm not going to have much confidence going into these other series. And the Yankees pitching has been arguably best in the league so far, and then the Tigers have Fromber and Skubal and the rest of those guys, so we won't have some crazy pitching advantage even with the guys playing as well or starting to pitch better now. And the big key is they got to go deep into these games, especially a guy like Connolly early who has pitched well. He's got a sub-3 ERA. He's been great with run prevention, but he hasn't been efficient. He's walking too many guys. He's letting, 2-3 guys on base in innings too often. And again, he's limiting the damage, but inefficiency with your innings is almost as bad as giving up a lot of runs. You know what I mean? Like, would you rather a guy pitch 3 innings and give up 2 runs, or pitch 6 and give up 4? It's like, it's not crazy different from like a actual giving you a chance to win scenario, because now you've got to get 6 innings out of your bullpen. And how many? I mean, if we get to the back end with the Whitlock and Chapman, we're going to feel good, but that's 4 or 5 innings unaccounted for with guys that I don't know if I particularly trust. So.
I was pulling up Connolly Early's innings pitched so far this season. Cincinnati 5 1/3, San Diego 4, St. Louis 4 1/3. Yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go
that's
longer.
Just not. Yeah, it's not good enough. And I know the ERA is going to look good on paper, but it's like you can't average under 5 innings per start. Like, you're just you have to be more efficient with how you're getting through the game. And maybe he needs to be more willing to take risks. And I don't know if he's just not throwing stuff over the plate, or you know what I mean, but like, attack the zone, dude. Like, make them hit it and see what happens. Instead of being so risk averse.
At the cost of having your bullpen come in there and then because like you said, we talked about it. This bullpen, middle of this bullpen is not strong. So if you go 4 1/3, you're relying on that weak middle of the bullpen, and this is what happens. So to your point, they need a pitcher that can eat innings, can go 6 innings, so you don't have to go to the Zach Kellys, the Greg Weisert's every freaking time of the world and watch them just implode. The Uberstein, or that other guy they got. What's the guy's name that debuted this week against Milwaukee?
What's his name? He's got a funny name.
Exactly. I can't pronounce it. But that's the point, and that's the reason why he needs to be able to go more than 4 innings. It's hurting them.
Tyler Samaniego. I don't know.
Carmen Sandiego. Where in the world?
Yeah, literally.
Samaniego.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like and then Weisert's been rough to start the year. Like the middle
home runs, the Weissert.
The middle reliever guys have not been great. The back end guys have been good, but that's the point. Is you got to get to those guys. You know what I mean? Whether it be get going 6 with your starter, and if we don't have a lead, then those guys probably aren't going to see the mound anyway. So it's like, we have to be able to put ourselves in a position to ride the back end of the bullpen. And they just haven't done that, because we just haven't had guys go long enough into games. And it's no coincidence that they're 6-0 and the guys pitch 6 or more innings.
Down on the farm, Sean. Let's go down on the farm. 2 guys, Kristian Campbell, Nick Sogard. We'll start with my favorite, the Viking Warrior, Nick Sogard, who I really wanted to make the roster to start the year. And I believe, and I think you would agree too, we'd rather have him starting second base over Caleb Durbin right now if we could. Sogard does a little bit of everything. He had a walk-off RBI in a recent Worcester win, ground rule double, showing consistent contact skills. He's hitting for power down there. He's versatility, right? That's one of the best things about him. He's versatile. You know what the floor is on him. Granted, he doesn't have the ceiling that you expect, but right now, this team just needs that shot in the arm. And we saw him last year as well in the wild card round. He could be a good call-up candidate in the big leagues that could rejuvenate this roster, that could be a bridge with this team. So Nick Sogard's a guy that I mean, if I could do it right now, and politics are not going to allow it to happen, just like politics are not going to allow Trevor Story to shift off shortstop. But Nick Sogard has every reason to be starting at second base right now over Durbin. What do you think, Sean? What do you think? Do you think, how much of a leash do they give Durbin before they actually call Sogard up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, because on one hand, they did give up, legitimate asset for him. But on the other hand, he's not making a ton of money. He's still got options to go back down to the minors. So like, it's not crazy to think that they could send him back down to AAA to get himself right.
They did it with Vaughn Grissom.
Yeah.
And that was in the sale trade. And they did it with Vaughn Grissom. So they're willing to do it. They did it with, who's someone else they did it with recently too? Oh, with Kristian Campbell, right? They gave Campbell a little after giving him a big contract and sent him down, which we'll get to as well.
Yeah.
I mean, does Craig eventually, go ahead.
I think it's a little different because he spent an entire season on a major league roster as a starting player on the team with the best record in baseball last year, or at least in the National League. I don't remember exactly if it was best in, I think it was best in baseball, the Brewers last year.
Yeah, they were the best in baseball.
So that he's got a little bit more of a track record than like Grissom had, like barely played for the Braves, and Campbell last year was his first time ever being in the majors. So like, I think it's a little different from those because he's built up a little bit of a rapport as a major league player. But to your point, I mean, I don't know if we're a month and a half into the season, like if we get to May and he's still sub 200, or sub 150. I mean, I don't know how he could be as low as he's at 100 right now. Like, but I agree with you though. Like if we're into May, the first couple weeks of May, and he's batting 120, like, I'm sorry, you got to pivot. Like you can't live with that. And it's like, I know that he, like, law of averages says he will turn it around some, but like, I don't know. It's just like, to have an easy out every single time, 9 out of 10 times through the lineup is like, it's untenable.
Who do you pivot to? Do you pivot to Sogard? Is that the guy you're going with?
I personally, I mean, I don't think they'll do this because they just want Rafael in center. I would
Center
just
field. I know. I agree.
Yeah, and just play Yoshida. You know, because you bring Sogard up, then we're still have Yoshida like barely in the lineup, and it's like, I don't know. I don't mind calling Sogard up as to be more of the utility guy if they send Durbin down, for example. Because I'll say this, I don't think they're just going to bench Durbin and just make him the utility guy. I think they would send him, if they move him out, they're going to send him to AAA, which I would agree with personally, because he's never going to build the confidence back up if you just have him as like playing once or twice a week. So then maybe Sogard does become the guy you call up, which again, I would like. I mean, we talk about getting on base. He's already walked 13 times in 13 games this year, which is, you know, his on base percentage is 400 despite only batting 239. So like, he gets on base. He's a good contact guy. You know, he can play multiple positions. He's hit for a little bit more power this year, 3 homers in 13 games. Again, I don't think that's, I don't expect to call him up and have him hit 15, 20 homers or anything. His career high is 13 in the minors. So, but regardless, like, I at least feel like I'm getting a better at bat than I am with Durbin, at least right now, and a guy that's going to at least get on base a little bit more consistently. So that's kind of what we need out of that spot. But to your original question, I think into early, like, if we're into May and he's still, you know, sub 200 average, then I do think that might be when they start to send him down. Because that was honestly right around when they sent Campbell down. I think it was like mid-May, like he won Rookie of the Month for the March into April, and then he had, I guess it was end of May because he had an atrocious May. But yeah. I don't know. He's got to turn it around soon. The leash can not be that long, just given that the options they have, not only the option to send him down, but also like the alternatives on the roster. So,
and then Kristian Campbell. Well, no, I agree with that. Like, I think I agree with you 100%. Like, for everyone out there thinking that we're going to have to roll with Durbin all year round, I think there's an absolute world and a possibility where they send him back down to AAA. I agree with you. They will not allow him to be a utility player and just sit him on the bench. Yeah. He's got options to call back. He's still a young player, and they can work with him down in AAA where he needs to figure some of the stuff out. So I agree with you. And I think Sogard should be the guy that gets called up in place of him. And I also agree with you that Rafaela should play second base and find a way to lengthen or figure out this log jam in the outfield, because now we're into the last guy who's playing very well in AAA. And I'm so happy to see that is Kristian Campbell. After Campbell had a awful spring training, and my hope was that starting spring training, he might be the Ref Snyder, right? That right-handed platoon bat that they don't have anywhere in the outfield, right? Their whole outfield is left-handed except for Rafaela, but the corners are all left-handed. Like all your options are all left-handed hitters. So now with Kristian Campbell, I was hoping he'd have a really hot spring training to end up being a guy either gets, wins a starting job and then make a trade Duran or Yoshida or whatever, but he struggled really bad. So he had his first home run this year recently after struggling a little bit in AAA, opposite field, right to right center. He's driving the ball better after adding strength this offseason, which we already saw. And he's playing center field for Worcester, which is showing that the Red Sox do envision him as an outfield bat. And they're paying him. He's under contract till 2032 with a $16 million extension. He's only 23 years old. Sean, make no bones about it. This guy is going to get playing time eventually, and they're going to find a way to fit him in this crowded outfield. So don't be shocked if Cedar moves to second or one of these guys get traded, because he's going to play. As long as he continues to hit in AAA, they've invested too much money into him. He's going to play. When is the question? So, it's a conundrum, but what do you think?
I don't see it. I don't think he's going to play soon. I'll say that. They have such a log jam already. Like, I just don't know how they call him up and get him in the lineup consistently. And it's the same as Durbin. It's like, you're not going to call him up to be a utility guy. Like, there's no use in that. You want him to get reps. So it's like, if he's getting called up, I expect him to play more days than not. And so who's sitting at that point? So it does like become a little interesting where, to me, I don't know if they're going to eventually make a trade. I think probably eventually at least would make sense too, but I don't know if that's like after this year, if that's at the deadline, or if that's a month from now. You know what I mean? So to me, I do think there probably does need to be a precursor move, or I guess you could argue if there's an injury at some point. So like if someone hits the DL for a month or something, I could see them calling him up to play every day in that capacity. But I don't know. I mean, he is still.
But Sean, let's say they move Cedon to second. So let me make an argument to what you're saying. They move Cedon to second, which I think is the best move for this organization, is move him to second base. There'll be some people out there that'll be screaming about it, but it's the best move for this organization. Your whole outfield is left-handed. So Kristian Campbell will get playing, like Duran will move to center, and he will get more at-bats than you think he will. They will go righty-lefty. And if they really believe Campbell can play in this level right now, they may go up there and he'll find ways to get in at-bats. I don't think he'll sit as much as you think he will, if that happens. Because it's so left-handed heavy, you'll find ways to get Campbell in a decent amount of times. Enough times where it's meaningful at-bats.
Yeah. I also kind of feel like the reason they sent him down last year and started him down this year is because the highs have been high, the flashes have been great, but he still has just been really inconsistent over the last 2 years. 2024, obviously, he was great in the minors, 330 average, 20 homers, but like he just hasn't been consistent. The mechanics have been a little funny, and like I still believe in him, and we talked preseason that I was kind of like throw him into the fire, just like kind of let it happen and let's see when we've got this. But this is before we traded for Durbin, where we had this open spot at second base, and I'm like, what are we doing? We just signed this guy to this lucrative deal. He came up as a second baseman, and we have a huge hole at second base, and we won't play the guy at second base. Like that was a little telling to me about how the organization feels about him, and I do think that they are just trying to have him show a little bit more consistency before they throw him into the lineup full time. And like I know he's been playing better as of late, but like 717 OPS so far in the minors, only 1 homer, 245 average. It hasn't been super consistent still this season, and the swing is, again, the mechanics are inconsistent. So I don't know. I do think that they just want to see a little bit. I think consistency is just key for him. I think they believe in the upside still. They wouldn't have given that contract if they didn't. But like if he was batting 330 and had 4 home runs already at this point, then I think this is more of a discussion where it's like, if he's knocking on that door, you got to let it down at some point. But, I don't know, 245 with 1 homer. I don't know if I'm going to qualify that as like, man, we got to get this guy up soon. It's like, well, can he hit 280 first and then we can talk about it?
All right. So we're at the end of the show. Guys, thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe wherever you're listening to. You're listening to 64 Deep. Big John alongside of me is Sean Figgins Jones for this week. We'll be coming at you all season long with the Red Sox. Sean, I'll ask you one question and we'll end on this one.
Okay.
Kristian Campbell on the Boston Red Sox roster before or after July 4th. And so after July 4th could be like 28, 29, whatever. But like, will he be on the Red Sox roster when July 4th comes around this year?
On the big league roster, you're saying?
Yeah, the big league roster, not the 40-man, the big league.
I am gonna say no.
And I'm going to say yes. And
All
let's
right.
see what happens. I'm going with yes. I think there's going to be I think an injury is going to happen or a trade will happen between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, obviously injury could change stuff, but I don't know. I mean, we've talked about this. They've got options. They could call Sogard up. They call Eaton up. They could, play Rafaela at second. There's just, we have such a logjam, and there are other options. KF still has kind of barely played, to be honest, and they gave him that deal. So it's like, I think we might need multiple injuries for it to trigger that, is all I'm going to say. Like one injury, I still feel like they're kind of going to go the conservative route. And, I think IKF will just play more. They might call Sogard up. So we'll see. But I may very well be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I want him to get reps. And I would so much rather him be in the lineup than IKF. You know what I mean? Like, right. I don't like even Sogard too, to be honest. I like Sogard a lot, and he was a nice little boost for the team last year and played great in the postseason as well. And, he's having a good year in the minors so far. But I'd still rather Campbell play over him, just because we need the upside and we need to develop these guys. And the only way to do so is to get them in the at-bats. So I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. I just feel like the organization has kind of told on themselves a little bit about their sort of lack of belief of him since they gave him that extension.
All right, July 4th, you say no. I'm saying yes. I think he'll be on the roster taking meaningful bets come July 4th this year. I actually think he'll be up by Memorial Day.
All right.
That's
We'll see.
even bolder by me. And then one last thing, Sean, do the Red Sox win the series against the Twins? Yes or no?
Yes.
Upcoming series.
I think they will. But I think it'll be 2 out of 3, and I think we'll be annoyed that they didn't sweep. That's my take.
Fair. All right. I agree with that one. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate all those that stuck with us for the full hour. We'll be back next week. And hopefully the Red Sox are above 500 at that point. It's possible. Anything's possible. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.